It was the second week of summer break, and 16-year-old Alex was finally home alone for the weekend. His parents had left for a short getaway, something about rekindling their relationship with wine tastings and boat rides. Alex, however, couldn't care less. He had the whole house to himself. No curfews, no nagging, no noise, just silence, snacks, and his favorite late-night horror marathons. That night, the sky outside was a heavy black curtain, stars barely peeking through the thick clouds. The house creaked occasionally, old wood stretching and settling. But Alex had gotten used to it. He curled into the couch with a blanket, a bowl of popcorn, and the remote in hand. The TV glowed in the dark, the only source of light in the living room. He flipped through channels, searching for something worth watching. Click, 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 static. He paused. In between the blur of gray and white dots, something shimmered oddly in the center of the screen. It looked almost like a silhouette, but only for a moment. Then it was gone. He blinked. Okay, that was weird. Shrugging it off, he continued channel surfing. Most of the good channels had moved to streaming anyway. Still, there was something nostalgic about flipping through, like diving into chaos to find a gem. Click, static. There it was again. A shape, this time more defined. It looked like a man, tall and lanky, standing in the middle of the static. Unmoving. No face, just the outline. Alex stared. Then the image flickered away. Maybe his eyes were just tired. He chuckled nervously. All right, brain, cut it out. The next channel came on with an old black and white horror film. Grainy and cheesy, with a monster in a rubber suit. He let it play, but every few minutes, he glanced back at the remote. Curious. Eventually, the curiosity won. He flipped back to the static. There he was, the man. Only now he was closer. His head almost filled the screen. Still faceless. Just a blur of dark features, but Alex could feel something behind that emptiness, watching him. The remote slipped slightly in his hand. A whisper of cold air brushed his neck. He looked around. The windows were shut, doors locked, no draft. The lights in the hallway flickered. Just once. He turned back to the TV. Gone. Just regular static now. He laughed, trying to shake off the fear. Okay, you're imagining things. This is what happens when you binge horror at 2 a.m. Still, something felt off. He turned off the TV and went to the kitchen for water. The fridge hummed, the only sound now. Then it stopped. Everything stopped. The entire house went dead silent. No hums, no creaks. Even his phone had lost signal. He turned around, and there it was. The TV was on again. He hadn't touched it. The static hissed softly from the living room, low and crackling. It called to him like a whisper just beneath hearing. Alex stepped back into the room slowly. The man in the static was now standing at the edge of the screen. One hand stretched out, pressed against the glass, as if trying to break through. His head twitched slightly to the left. Then again. The screen flickered. The hand moved forward, slightly out of the TV. Alex froze. His breath caught in his throat. He backed away, heart racing. Nope, 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 nope. He reached for the remote and pressed OFF repeatedly. Nothing. The TV wouldn't shut down. He unplugged it. Still, the screen stayed on. The static grew louder. Screeching, grinding noise, like insects crawling under his skin. Then, in a voice not quite human, not quite machine, the TV whispered, "Keep watching." Alex turned and bolted upstairs. Slamming his door shut, he grabbed his phone. Still no signal. He tried calling his parents on Wi-Fi. No connection. The lights flickered. Then, from downstairs, he heard the TV change channels, flipping rapidly. Click, 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 click. Then it stopped, and silence returned. Alex held his breath. His phone buzzed suddenly, one message. It was from an unknown number. Just one word. Behind. He didn't want to turn around. Every instinct screamed, don't look. But he did. Nothing. Just his room. Empty. Until the static came back, this time from his phone speaker. And on the black screen, a flicker of an image. The man. Closer than ever. Almost in the room. Alex dropped the phone. Cracked. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, heavy. He scrambled to lock the door, backing against his bed. The footsteps stopped right in front of the door. Then, a knock. Just once. Then a voice, garbled and broken, like a recording warped by time. "Let me in." Alex didn't move, didn't breathe. The doorknob began to twist, back and forth, back and forth. Then, violently, he grabbed his desk chair and shoved it under the knob, heart pounding. Silence returned again. After what felt like hours, he passed out from fear, curled under the bed, clutching a baseball bat. When morning came, the sun poured through the windows. The power was back. Phone had signal. The TV was off. Everything was normal again. He told his parents nothing. They wouldn't believe him. He thought it was over. Until that night, he went to turn on the TV. It wouldn't power up, but the screen flickered once. And there he was, the man in the static, smiling. And now he had a face. It was Alex's. It was just past noon on a quiet Wednesday when the doorbell rang. Emily was home alone again. That wasn't unusual. She worked from her small apartment on the edge of town, freelancing as a digital artist. She liked the quiet, the stillness, the fact that no one ever really bothered her out here. The closest neighbor was across the street, an elderly couple who mostly stayed indoors. When she opened the door, there was a cardboard box sitting on the porch. No sound of a delivery truck. No footsteps fading away. Just the box. She glanced around. Nothing. No cars. No delivery person. The sidewalk was empty. It had no labels. No address. No branding. Just a plain brown box. Her name wasn't even written on it. Frowning, she brought it inside, placing it on the kitchen table. It wasn't heavy, just enough weight to feel solid, but not packed tight. She grabbed scissors and sliced it open carefully. Inside, wrapped in thin layers of yellowed newspaper, was an old camcorder. Bulky, black, mid-90s maybe, dusty with a few scratches and a faint chemical smell. There was no note, no explanation. Emily turned the box upside down. Nothing else inside. Her curiosity, of course, outweighed her concern. She took the camcorder to her workspace and searched her drawers until she found the proper charger. She had enough random cords for old tech thanks to thrift store hunts and forgotten electronics. It powered on with a sharp beep. There was one video saved. It was labeled only with a date. Yesterday. Her heart skipped. She pressed play. The screen flickered to life, grainy, washed in dull green from night vision mode. The footage showed a bedroom. Her bedroom. The camera was positioned at the corner of the room, aimed directly at her bed. There she was, under the covers, sound asleep. She stared at the screen in disbelief. Every detail matched: the arrangement of her books, the open closet door, the window with the rattling blinds. Her throat went dry. The timestamp rolled past midnight, and nothing happened for a while. Just the faint sound of her breathing. A few tosses and turns. Then a movement. From the bottom right of the frame, someone stepped into view. The figure was tall, wrapped in a dark coat or robe, head tilted slightly. No face was visible. It seemed obscured by shadow or maybe a hood. But the camera didn't wobble. Whoever had set it up had fixed it carefully. The figure stood at the side of the bed, watching her, not moving, not speaking, just watching, for hours. Emily's hands shook as she watched herself sleeping through it all. At around 4:13 a.m., the figure leaned in slightly, placing something gently on the bedside table. It was hard to make out. Then, without a sound, they stepped out of frame. The screen stayed on her sleeping body until the video ended. The total runtime, 5 hours, 47 minutes. Emily replayed the last 10 seconds, zooming in on the object placed by her bed. It looked like a small figurine? No, something organic. A bone? She felt nauseous. Bolting upstairs, she burst into her room. The table was clear. No sign of anything out of place. But when she checked under the bed, she found it. A small object wrapped in black thread. It was a tooth. Human. Cracked and stained. Her breathing grew shallow. Her fingers trembled. She called the police. They came, took statements, took the camcorder and the tooth. The officers were polite but unconvinced. No signs of forced entry, one said. Probably a prank, the other added. You'd be surprised how many people fake stuff like this for online attention. Emily didn't post online. She barely used social media. That night, she slept with the lights on and a kitchen knife under her pillow. Nothing happened. The next day, she decided to check the box again. Maybe she missed something. She dug through the newspaper wrappings. And there it was. A small folded note, stuck in the bottom, nearly glued to the cardboard. Simply read, "You sleep so soundly. I was right beside you again last night." She dropped it and stumbled back, knocking over her chair. How? She checked the camcorder. The memory was wiped. The single video was gone. Only one new file had replaced it. It was titled, "Live Feed." Heart pounding, she pressed play. It was dark at first. Then the screen brightened. It was real-time video. From inside her apartment. From just outside her bedroom. The camera was still there. Somewhere. Still filming. Still watching. And the last few seconds of the video tilted just slightly, as if someone was picking it up. Then the screen went black. A single frame appeared at the very end. It was Emily, not sleeping, but staring directly into the lens. Except, she had no memory of it, and her eyes weren't hers. The storm rolled in sometime after midnight. It was one of those sudden, violent ones, the kind that made windows tremble and wind howl like it was alive. Thunder cracked across the sky, and the house moaned with every gust of wind. Jamie stirred beneath the blankets, the edge of sleep fading fast. A flash of lightning lit up the bedroom, and just as quickly, the room was plunged into pitch black again. Then something strange happened. The bedroom light was on. Jamie sat upright slowly, confused. She didn't remember turning it on. Her phone said 3:14 a.m. The power should have gone out during the storm, but instead, the house was now glowing with a soft yellow light, the kind that came from the dining room chandelier. The air felt thick, heavy. Jamie slid out of bed barefoot, her heartbeat ticking up a notch. The hallway was quiet, too quiet. She crept toward the stairs, listening. The storm outside was gone now. Not fading, not distant. Just gone. That was the first thing that truly unsettled her. The second was the smell. A mix of dust, candle wax, and something faintly metallic, like old blood. As she reached the ground floor, she paused at the corner where the hallway opened into the dining room. The soft clinking of silverware broke the silence. Clink, clink, clink. She turned the corner and froze. There was a family seated around her dining table. A man, a woman, 2 children, a boy and a girl, both maybe 10. They wore old-fashioned clothing. The man had suspenders and a white shirt buttoned to the collar. The woman wore a long, faded green dress. The kids looked like they'd stepped out of a sepia photograph. Their faces were pale, almost gray in the light, unsmiling, unblinking. None of them were eating. They just sat, hands resting neatly in front of them, waiting, staring. Jamie couldn't move. Her voice caught in her throat. The man was the first to speak. His voice was low, but clear. "You're in our home." Jamie took a step back. I think you're mistaken," she stammered. This is my house." The woman tilted her head slowly, the motion unnatural, like a doll's head on a loose hinge. "No," she said. "We never left." The little girl's lips curved slightly, not into a smile, but something darker. "We don't like it when people stay here," she whispered. The boy began humming a slow, tuneless melody. It sounded like a lullaby but warped, off-key. Jamie turned and bolted for the door. It wouldn't open. The locks twisted on their own, resisting her hands, no matter how hard she yanked. She ran to the kitchen for her phone. It was gone. The counter was bare. The lights overhead began flickering. She grabbed a knife from the drawer and spun around. The family was in the kitchen now. No footsteps, no movement, just there, standing in a row, blocking her in. "People always think it's their house," the father said, stepping forward. "But you didn't build it. You didn't bleed for it." The mother smiled wide now, revealing too many teeth. "We did." Jamie backed up until she hit the wall. "What do you want from me?" The boy stopped humming. "To remember." And with that, the world shifted. The kitchen was gone. The lights out. The house dark. Jamie was standing in an empty house. No furniture. No photos on the walls. Just dust and the cold smell of mold and rot. And in her hands, not a knife. A rusted, blood-stained hammer. She dropped it with a choked scream. Memories she didn't recognize flooded her mind. Sounds. Screams. The dull thud of something hitting flesh. In her mind's eye, she saw the family again, but this time from behind the swing of a hammer. She saw blood on the walls, the children hiding under the table, the mother's cries, the father's rage. She had been here before, not as Jamie, but someone else, someone who had lived here long ago, and killed them. The truth pressed down on her chest like a weight. She was the intruder, the spirit, the echo, and they had always been the ones haunting her. The room spun. Then she woke up, back in her bed. The storm was raging again outside. 3:14 a.m. She was alone, or so she thought, because as she turned to look at the hallway, she saw the little girl standing just outside her door, smiling,